I think that sexual compatibility can be built. It's not always just found. And I would watch for his openness, not his current skill, especially if there are other things that you really love about him. What's up, cuties? Okay, I am going to start this episode with a reading by young Pueblo from his book Clarity and Connection, which was sitting on a nightstand and I started reading it. It's a New York Times bestseller. And I was struck by this passage, which is illustrative of what I'm going through right now, and maybe what some of you are going through as well. There may be times when you feel like a lot of what you've understood no longer makes sense. This might make you feel as though you have regressed, but it is actually a sign that you are opening new space for deeper wisdom and greater perception. When your previous understandings disintegrate, they are not always immediately replaced by better or deeper understandings. When you take your growth seriously, you will often find yourself in this in between state. It's okay to live without clear answers. Growth is not about forcing understanding, it is about allowing it to grow organically. That's where I'm at right now in a lot of parts of my life, in a lot of areas. I feel like a lot of what I used to know about love, about relationships, about myself, I don't know anymore. I don't know if any of that stuff applies anymore. And it's leaving me in, what young Pueblo describes as an in-between state, right? A liminal state, a transitional state. And it's uncomfortable to feel this, to be in this place because I want to feel grounded and I want to feel rooted and I want to feel sure about myself, about what I'm doing, about my capacities, about how I show up in relationships. And right now, I don't feel that. I feel like there is a lot of turmoil in this transition in this part of my life right now. And you might feel that too, right? You might be in a relationship that just no longer makes sense to you anymore. How you understood your relationship doesn't make sense. And maybe you're ready for something new and you don't know what that looks like and that's scary. Maybe that's what's happening in your career. You don't feel fulfilled anymore. You don't understand yourself anymore. Maybe you're feeling this about you, about your inner world. Things don't make sense. And perhaps, hopefully, there's a deeper wisdom, right? We're transcending this current level of your existence, your relational capacity, your creative life, but you're not there yet. And so it's uncomfortable. That's where I'm at. If you asked me what love is right now, I would have a really hard time to describe it. And maybe that's okay, right? Like, because how vast is love and how hard is it to describe? Sometimes it's as simple as saying, oh, it's love is showing up for another person and allowing yourself to be seen. Okay. Or love is the willingness to grow and sit with and show up for others. Okay. But right now there's a lot I don't know and there's some discomfort there. I will also share a little bit vulnerably that this has been a hard time for me. These last few weeks specifically have been probably the hardest couple weeks that I've experienced in about a year. I am coming up on a lot of family of origin stuff, attachment wounds. I am feeling a lot of younger, tender parts inside that are taking over, that are screaming for attention. I've been feeling more anxiety and panic than I have in a long time. I have started taking antidepressants, which some of you know I have always struggled with the idea of taking antidepressants. And I think it got to the point where I really needed some support. And so I'm on 2 weeks. No, it's like a week and a half now. So all I'm feeling are the onset sort of like side effects, which was like, funnily enough, an increase in anxiety and panic and restlessness, trouble sleeping, night sweats. Not fun. but I'm committed to sticking through this so that I can maybe get a little bit of space from all of this overwhelm. I mean, I'm in a huge transition. I don't have a fixed place to live yet. I'm working on that. I'm so close, so close. In the next couple months, I should have some good news for you all that I'm not at liberty to disclose. I'm getting reconnected to the support systems that I have available to me in San Francisco. I'm meeting with a new therapist, still grappling with the loss of my dog and my dad, questioning whether it's time to plan B for my career and what that would look like. So lots and lots and lots of uncertainty. And I felt it important to share that with you. Mainly because I can't help myself. I literally cannot help myself to share like what is authentically happening for me. It's just so hard. I can't just pretend like all this shit isn't happening and isn't affecting me so deeply. Oh, also, you know how hard it is to show up on social media when you're not doing well? I mean, some of you probably know. I'm feeling like I don't want to be seen in this. I'm feeling insecurities. And it's hard to pretend like that's not happening. And I don't want to. I don't want to because I think I have worn a mask of everything is okay for a long time. And people say, "Hey, how you doing?" I go, "Fine, man. How are you?" And I've started saying, "Oof, not good. Not good today." I remember getting coffee last week and the barista was like, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "Not good. Not good, but I'll have a cortado." I don't have to pretend like I'm okay. And I have moments of deeply, being deeply not okay and then moments where I'm fine. It's ebb and flow. I'm feeling hopeful that these antidepressants will give me a little bit of space. Live, laugh, Lexapro. That's what they say. So we'll see. The reality is that like for the last couple years, or maybe even my whole life, I don't think I've ever really felt a sense of like thriving. And that's okay. I think like, thrive. I'm barely trying to survive. I'm just trying to survive. What do you mean thrive? And some people just like, thrive. But we also live in this world where it's like, just do it, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, slap a smile on your face. Let's go. Let's just get through this day. And I think that's pretty harmful to who we really are as people, right? Like deeply sensitive, deeply feeling, tender humans. Not everybody's like this. Some people just are happy-go-lucky, like they just are always on the like looking on the bright side and like I don't know, but God bless them because we also do need people like that to sort of keep the world going. But pretending like everything is okay when it's not something that I am invested in doing anymore. And sure, sometimes you just have to like, put it aside and get shit done, right? Take care of your kids, go to work, show up for your aging parents. But we don't have to slap a smile on when it's not authentic to do so. So, anyways, that's the update. Maybe some of you can relate. Okay, we have a question today. I leaked it a couple weeks ago and I'm excited to answer it. So, here it is.
Hey, Sean. I've been following your content for the past year and a half, and I'm so grateful to have discovered you. So, first of all, thank you. You've inspired me to be more open and authentic and real in how I express myself, and I just really appreciate you. My question is in regards to a new person I've been on a handful of dates with. There has been a lot of ease in our connection, and we have a lot in common. And I see long-term compatibility with him. But the intimacy that has unfolded between us has felt awkward. I can tell that he's nervous and in his head. We've had very different relational experiences. I have mostly been single and involved in shorter term relationships during my adult life, giving me a lot of exposure to different people and types of sexual encounters. And I would say I feel fairly comfortable with my sexuality, and it's something that's important to me in a relationship. He got out of a 15-year relationship and has only been with a few other people prior to that when he was younger. And it sounds like their sex life was strained by the tension in their relationship, and there wasn't a lot of exploration. I've encountered this before with men over the age of 40 who were in long term relationships where intimacy never deepened. And I have found that their sexuality almost seems stunted and immature. I'm wondering if this is workable. He seems open minded and interested in exploring, but I can tell he feels uncomfortable and nervous at the same time. How long do I give this to develop? Do you have suggestions for inviting intimacy and creating an environment that feels safe for us to explore this? I've already opened up the conversation with him, but I also don't want to make things worse. Curious to hear your thoughts.
Thank you, Andrea. I love this question so much. So much. And it's very rich. There's a lot here. I say give it some time, right? Especially when there's a lot of points of compatibility and there's, one area that needs a little bit of extra attention. Like what a gift. What a gift. I will also point out that, if you've been mostly single in your adult life, there are going to be some areas in this relationship where you might feel a little inexperienced. You use the word stunted. I prefer inexperienced. So there may be some things that he goes, oh, wow, that was a little awkward with her, right? If you guys do spend more time together and it ends up being a little bit more of a longer relationship. So you're both going to bring areas of expertise and areas of development that could be pretty compatible in terms of like, I'll help you through this if you help me through that. So that's one thing that I noticed. The other thing is that it's nice when the sex is just compatible from the get-go. It's nice. It's easy. It's easy. But, you can't have everything. You can't have everything be easy from the get-go, because it's unrealistic. There's going to be points of friction. And a lot of things can be worked out if both parties are willing to. It's different if he's nervous and shut down. If he shuts down when he gets nervous, okay, that's going to be tricky and you might not want to stick around for that. But if he gets curious when he's nervous and he's open, then you have someone who's willing to play and who's willing to learn and who's willing to grow. I will say that I'm not advocating for you to be a coach or a teacher in this scenario. But as the person who has a little bit more experience, yeah, it's going to fall on you to sort of lead a little bit more or to guide or to give a little bit of advice. So we're not fixing him as a project. We're inviting him into a new way of being. I think that's beautiful. In my experience, I have had multiple relationships where the sex was a little awkward at first and it got better over time because the intimacy deepened, because we got more playful, because we got more vulnerable, because we had more conversations. And so I absolutely think that sometimes putting in the reps is what is going to lead to a better connection between you two. I've said this before, if you've never played tennis before and you start playing tennis, you're going to be really bad at tennis. But the more you play, the better you get. And that's with anything. Communicating your desires, your boundaries, saying no, asking for what you want, sitting with difficult emotions, trying new things, learning new skills, a new career, being a parent, being an uncle, anything that you don't have a lot of experience with can get better over time if you do it more. And it makes sense. I mean, he's just out of a 15-year relationship and he's probably smitten. And he's, man, he's having sex with a new person for the first time in 15 years. Whew. I would expect him to feel a little awkward. I would expect him to be a little nervous. And that can be sweet. His nervousness is just a little bit of information about how he's showing up. It doesn't have to. We don't have to pathologize it as, oh, he's immature, he's stunted, or, incapable of showing up in this way, right? So some things that you might do, you might lower the stakes a little bit and not assign meaning to his nervousness. You might have some conversations about this outside of the bedroom. You might be specific in the moment about what you're wanting and looking for. You might make room for fumbling and bring laughter and play into sex making. You might slow it down. You might choose to look at this differently. I think that sexual compatibility can be built. It's not always just found. And I would watch for his openness, not his current skill, especially if there are other things that you really love about him. The reality is that some people are just have way more experience with sex than others. And that's fun, right? Like, 2 people who are experienced in sex can sync up pretty quickly. But when there's a mismatch in experience, sometimes it's gonna take a little bit longer. So enjoy it, put in some reps and see what happens. That's my suggestion to you. I had a question recently, that was about, like, do you think there are bad kissers, or can you teach someone to kiss better? And I've had multiple experiences. Once with a girlfriend where our kisses were just so incompatible, and I was like, "What the hell is going on here? Am I weird or are they weird? Who's weird here?" And maybe it wasn't about being weird, it was just different. I think she was weird actually, but, however okay, hold on, I'm going on a tangent, but I'm gonna try to land this plane first. It took us 2 weeks for our kisses to sync up, and then they became incredible. So, I think you can just stick with it, and it will solve itself on its own, number 1. Number 2, I think there is a way to give feedback on kissing, like, "Oh, hey, I prefer it a little bit softer," or "a little less tongue at first," or "I'm curious where your tongue was in that one," like, have you ever had an open mouth kiss with someone and their tongue is, like, nowhere to be seen? It's so weird. I've had that a couple times, but I didn't like them enough to, like, get curious around what was happening there. But that's a weird thing. So I think there is room for giving feedback, especially or not even giving feedback, but sharing what you like. "Oh, I prefer a softer kiss. I prefer a harder kiss. I like it when you put your hand on my face or on the back of my neck. I like it when you come in slowly and not so forcefully. Or I like it when you come in more forcefully, more confidently, if that's something that you're able to do." Right? So I think there is room for sharing what you like, what makes sense for you. I mean, I guess this applies to everything, especially lovemaking, right? Lovemaking. Sex. Also, asking for what you want in bed is not the most obvious thing. Only the most sex positive of people have a lot of experience in talking about their desires and their boundaries, what they like, what they don't like, how to touch them, how do you wanna be touched, like, that stuff is awkward because there's a lot of shame around sex, right? It's a private thing that we don't really talk about, but it's something that everybody really wants to talk about, but they just don't feel comfortable doing it, and I think the longer you don't talk about sex with your partner or partners, the harder it is to talk about sex. It's just harder when you don't have a lot of experience. It's like tennis again, right? So the more you do it, the better you get at it, and that includes talking about sex, about kissing, about what you like, about what you don't like, about what mood you're in, what would feel good, what would be exciting, and it's fun too. It's fun to talk about this stuff. It can be fun if we can kinda just drop the story or the shame or the embarrassment or the ego or whatever's blocking you from having these conversations. So, yeah, I think the sex can improve. I think kissing can improve if you're doing it with someone that you like, that you care about, that you wanna improve with. It would be so unfortunate, and Andrea, I'm talking to you again, if you found this dude that you really liked. I mean, you asked this question a couple weeks ago. Who knows if you guys are still together? But it would be so unfortunate if you found someone that you really liked and that we let something like, "Oh, the sex is kinda awkward," to get in the way of really building something incredible together. I think we can be quick to dismiss people, especially nowadays where it kinda feels like, to a certain degree, it kinda feels like there's an unlimited amount of people that we could be dating or hooking up with or whatnot because of dating apps, but in reality, I don't think there are that many people that you are compatible with that would be a good partner. I mean, yeah, in the whole world probably, but like the likelihood of you running into those people is very slim in your day to day. And I know that some of you are really struggling to just meet a person to even go on a date with, right? Let alone having options. So when you meet somebody and it's good, it's not perfect, it's not great. I mean, it's great sometimes. There are challenges. There are boxes that are not ticked. You're coming up on some stuff that is really hard for you to look at. I'm speaking to myself right now. I think it's worth doing the work, whether it's a hard conversation, whether it's sitting with discomfort, whether it's telling somebody how much you like them and sitting with the fear of what that entails, whether it's committing to someone and you have a pattern of not committing, whether it's choosing someone that is a little outside of your type, but gosh, they really make you smile. I think it's worth giving it a shot. And worst case, what happens? It doesn't work out and you learn stuff about yourself. You get to grow. You get to allow it to happen organically. You sit in this in-between state of not knowing how it's going to pan out, what it's going to look like. Can you live without clear answers about whether I can stay with this person who is a little sexually awkward or who doesn't meet my needs in a particular way that I think is really important or who pushes your buttons inadvertently because we all have them? Growth is not about forcing understanding. It is about allowing it to grow organically. So I hope that was helpful. Personally speaking, I'm just going to sit in this space waiting for deeper wisdom and greater perception because I don't know what else to do. The next solo episode is all about love. A caller left a message feeling confused about love, about saying I love you to their previous partner for years, and then realizing that maybe that wasn't love. Did she ever really have it, even though she was saying it? And she's confused and she wants to know, what is love? And guess what? I'm confused also. I'm a love coach hosting a podcast called The Love Drive, and I am confused about love. And I wonder if you might be confused about love as well. And maybe you're listening to this because you're curious and you want to know more about this kind of the greatest thing in life and sometimes the scariest. I've been going back to AA meetings, and someone said, most of your actions are either out of love or out of fear. And I want mine to be out of love, not out of fear. So I would love to hear from you. What is love to you? Send me an email, podcast@thelovedrive.com. Send me a text or leave a message at 415-494-9559. And I hope you have a beautiful week. Take good care.